Hello, Chess Mood family. GM Avatik is here with you, and welcome to advanced video course of Banco Gambit. So far, we have analyzed here for white three moves: Rook E1. We have analyzed H3 and Queen E2, and now we will analyze not trendy, not famous, but the strongest move here, A4. Let's come here to this position move by move. So d4 knight f6, Banco and white accept the pawn sacrifice. So take knight c3 d6. Here I believe that the g3 move is very playable for black. So e4, this I think the strongest reply for white. Take g6, knight f3, bishop g7, g3 castle, king g2, knight b d7, and here a4. So in this video I will explain what's the idea behind this, what's our best reply, and yes, a4 is the strongest reply I believe against Banco Gambit, but it's not as scary as people think. And also I will show you in the next video another trick how we can avoid this a4. But at first let's see what's the idea of this a4 move, and I will explain, if you get this, how to react. So a4, the idea is for white to play somewhere knight b5, and with a4 and knight b5 here to close this pressure on b line and a line. Before going knight b5, of course, is at first white should protect the e4 pawn. What can we do against this? One of our ideas all the time somewhere against is knight b5, to bring our knight and change this one with knight e8, knight c7. Another typical response very often it will be c4, knight c5. But with c4 we should be very careful, because all the time when we play c4, this about every case of Banco Gambit, we should be very careful with this knight d4 move, knight d4, knight c6. So after a4 we have here few moves: queen a5, knight g4, queen b6, and rook a6. Queen a5, unfortunately, here is not good. White just plays bishop d2, and after queen a6 they played rook e1. This is important move, not knight b5, because after knight b5 we take knight e4, knight c7, queen b7. We sacrifice the exchange, but then as you know, whenever e4 pawn fell, d5 pawn becomes very weak, and here white loses this d5 pawn, and here black has decent compensation. But white, instead of knight b5, they just play rook e1 with next move knight b5, bishop comes to c3, and here, yeah, white has advantage. We have some compensation, but it's not enough. So queen a5 is not good because of bishop d2. Here knight g4 also not good, because queen e2, and after knight g5 just knight d2, and now is coming f4 move. The only move is here to play knight b6, then it's coming a5, then it's coming f4, so our knight's going back while our opponent knight comes to c4, their pawn is on a5, and also f4, e5 is coming. So this is also very bad. So we don't go here. Rook a6 move here is interesting. Rook a6 with idea queen a8. Rook a6 here, the best answer for white is queen c2, protecting the e4 pawn. We play queen a8, knight b5, knight c7 now is coming, so rook c8 we should have play. And now white should do very important move, bishop g5. If bishop d2, we are ready for this c4 move. And if knight fd4, we have knight d5, strong sacrifice. And after e d5, queen d5, now d4 is hanging, and the only move is knight f3, and then we go knight e5. And after queen d1, when white protects this, we just take the d2 bishop. So after rook c8, there is very important move, bishop g5. Bishop g5, here we play knight b6, and now another important move for white. They should play b3 is wrong move because of c4, so they should go back knight c3. And rook on a6, knight b6, queen a8. This show there is some compensation. Again, probably white has some advantage, but especially for blitz, this is very hard to play for white. Like during the streams, very often I meet this a4 move and I play. Even if they get some little bit advantage during the blitz, it's very hard. But okay, now let's go to look the best ones. So this was rook a6. I believe the strongest reply here for black is queen b6 move. not queen a5 because of this bishop d2 move. So just queen b6. Now we keep the same idea. We want to play rook fb8, and knight b5 move. We want to mate with knight e8, knight c7 idea. So queen e2 here is the best reply for white, as they develop their queen, also protected the e4 pawn, and ready for this knight b5 move. Here we play, there are many moves, but I will show you immediately the best ones. Rook fb8. Queen a6 also interesting. Queen a6, but then knight b5. Rook fb8, bishop d2, important move for white. And knight e8, bishop c3, knight c7, and while it looks like everything is ready, this is, by the way, I sometimes do during the blitz, because people whose alloy is less than 2500, for them it's very hard to find this b4 move. b4 super important move for all the line with a4. The idea is that after cb4 they have queen b2 check, and then they take knight c7, and after b4 we also cannot take knight b5, a b5, and if you take queen b5, then queen b5, and then at the end rook a8, and they win our rook. And the same, we cannot take queen a1 because simple rook a1 take and queen b2 check, winning our rook. So white plays here b4, next move they take the c5, and there is not enough compensation for black. So instead of queen a6, rook fb8. This is the strongest reply. Now e5 is absolutely no danger for us. We just take here, take, and queen b7. Now we want to play e6 with knight d5. We also want to play knight e8, knight d6. So here there is more than compensation. Our bishop on g7 opponent, especially knight when it comes to d6. So queen, rooks, everything is super ready for strong play. So rook fb8, the best reply here for white is knight b5, and we play here knight e8. Knight e8, we want to play knight c7. And many people still say that a4 move is dangerous for black, but when I ask what do you play here in this position, they say, I don't know, I just know a4, knight b5. But if you don't know what to do here for white, there is absolutely no conversation about advantage. The only move here that it's fighting for advantage is bishop g5, because knight c7 now is just coming, and if we successfully change this bishop, there is nothing, so we have very strong compensation. And some move like knight d2 doesn't give anything for white, just queen a6. Queen a6 with knight c4, knight c7. Sorry. First of all, queen a6. We want to take rook b5. I'm sorry, I forgot rook b5. And due to this pin, we want to win a piece. So something like knight c4 is just blunder, rook b5. And if white plays rook a3, then knight c7. And because of this pin, white has already problems. So knight d2. Just queen a6, and it's very hard for black to do something against the rook b5 and this knight c7 moves. So instead of knight d2, the only move that gives something for white is bishop g5. Bishop g5 with tempo attacking bishop, with tempo attacking e7 pawn. Now here I will offer you two moves. First one will be just simple king f8. And next one, more complicated things. So king f8, here the only move again that gives something for white is knight d2. Idea is to bring knight c4. Here we play queen a6, knight c4, b2 pawn is hanging. We could not here take bishop b2 because of knight c4. We lost a piece. So queen a6. And now knight c4 again must move, otherwise it will, if they will leave us to play knight b6 or knight c7, we would be absolutely fine. So queen a6, knight c4, here we play knight b6, changing one knight, and the next move we change the knight on b5 with the knight c7. Here white should play queen c2, knight c7, take, and white should protect the b2 pawn, rook a b1, and here we have compensation. Unfortunately the compensation is just enough for having equal game. White has a bit advantage here, I am agree with this, but especially in blitz games it's very hard to convert this to win, because it's very hard. Rook on a8 and b8 are so strong, bishop on g7 is very active. It's very hard to go into improved position with b4 move, it's very hard to do. But for black we also should stay and wait, especially when white put their pawn on b3. But first of all, as you saw here, was white should know this everything. But king f8, this was more of a passive move. The move I will offer you to do is h6. h6, and we invite ourselves white to take the e7 pawn. So bishop e7, and now we play rook b7. This is very deep and very tricky, strong move. Rook b7. Here we ask bishop e7 hello, sending him cheers and saying to them we are going to trap this bishop. Now there is few replies for white. Something like g4, trying to escape with this bishop. No escape for him because after g4 just f6, and anyway with next move knight b8 we trap him. By the way, here we want to trap this bishop on e7 with two ways. First is knight e5, another way is knight b8. The best reply here for white is do some move, and after we go knight b8 or knight e5, white go bishop h4, g5, and they give their bishop to this pawn. Take, knight g5, so having 4 pawns for peace. So the strongest move, I put this position for engine to sink in more than 1 hour with very strong 100,000 kindness engines. And his reply is rook a3. This is the best. Rook is coming to a3. First, from rook a3, he protects all the time from this rook b5, queen b5, some tactics. After rook a3, he joins here. After that sacrifice, rooks come to f3 or rook e3. So this is really the best reply. But again, as this, I have played many Blitz games. No one never I have missed this. But whatever, even if I miss this. Here we play knight b8. Knight b8 is much stronger than knight e5. So not overwhelming you with lines. I will show you the best. Knight b8. Bishop h4 should be played. g5. White should sacrifice, and it's better for them to keep the knight, which can make some threats with queen h5, yeah? But here, when I played rook b7, and I said it's very multifunctional move here, rook e7 is the idea. Rook b7, rook is coming to e7, so knight d7 is also possible, but rook e7 is best. Rook e7, first we bring our rook, then we bring our knight. Knight d7, queen h5 is not dangerous for us, because after queen h5 we all the time have knight f6. Additionally, if our king needs help, knight d7 comes here for help from knight d7, knight f8. And then we have plans with knight g6, knight f6. This position engine says that white has advantage, but at the same we cannot trust engine very often, especially when we analyze openings like King's Indian or Grünfeld or also Benko Gambit, well, because of this d5 pawn. The same is about Modern Benoni, right, as well. Engine thinks all the time is better. And comparing to this position when we just get this Benko Gambit, yeah, here was like minus 0.90, yeah. What we got now, it was minus around 60. So this position, despite of the fact that engine says that there is advantage in real, this is very complicated, super complicated position. I've also played a few mini matches. It's very hard to play. Yeah, there is 4 pawns, but I count these 3 because anyway we played Benko Gambit, so we sacrificed a pawn. So here I can calculate it's just 3 pawns. It looks like our king is weak, yeah, but some moves like h4, h5, h6, yeah, we just meet with bishop h6. Bishop h6, especially knight 1 d7. Very often then we go king h8, knight f6, rooks come to g8, and we start the attack. During my streams, most of the time I will come to this position. And I will show you how it's difficult to play here for white, and that we have very rich game with our pieces. Now, important thing yet to remember, A and B line is closed, but we move now to the king side. We go knight d7, knight f8, knight g6, knight f6, sometimes bishop h6, king h8, rook g8, and we go with all our pieces to the king side. We put pressure on e4 pawn, of course on e4 all the time because of this pin. Also when knight is on f6, also knight d5 is hanging. So this is very complicated position. So this is my thoughts about a4, what's going on here. Yeah, despite of the fact that, yeah, I'm agree, this is the best response for white against Benko Gambit, but it's not so bad as many people think. It's very complicated stuff. So, and in the next video, I will share you one of my tricks. So if I meet some young talented guy who will calculate like monster, what I do not to get in that complicated position and to play Banco Spirit with just sacrificing a pawn, and how we can avoid this stuff. So GM Avetic was with you. See you during the next video.